Well, hi there, and welcome to 3R Guitars, and Happy New Year. It's New Year's Day. I'm just in the shed here, beavering away on this Strat neck. Basically, yesterday we finished off the spraying, and I really like the look of it. I just think it looks nice and old without being like ridiculously worn. You know, the nice thing I read about the 67 Strat was it was the last year where cellulose lacquer was used over the whole thing, apparently. I mean, you know, I only read that off the internet. Um, so that kind of means you'd have got, you know, um, more aging sort of thing. Once they went to polyester lacquers, the guitars didn't age so much. Some still seem to, but the one thing where they did continue to use cellulose was actually on the face of the headstock, because of the decal, and that's why you know you often see on later model Strats like a darker headstock face. But you know, again, I don't know how much hearsay that is or how real it is, but it makes sense anyway. So what I've done today is I've been over all this and I've flattened it and polished it. So you know, got all the spraying off it. You know, I particularly like it actually. It's nice. I did find my original F tuners. I mean, I think they're original. I mean, I've had them years and years and years. I've had them at least 20 years. So if they are repros, they're old ones. And yeah, I fitted them. Happy with that. I mean, these are very good condition, and if they are original, I certainly don't want to start hacking them around. It's funny that I think Fender used these. I love the Fs on the back of them. Really like that. But the way they're made, you know, almost seems a bit retrograde from the original Clouson tuners. I mean, the original Clouson tuners would have probably been lighter weight, because they just, everything on them is plate steel sort of thing. These have got like cast inserts and whatnot. Plus these have 2 screws per tuner. They're very much more difficult to actually line up. You know, you only need one of these holes a fraction out, and then you've got problems on the back because they absolutely snug up to one another. It's quite difficult to fit DIY actually. I must confess, I had to like wiggle around some of these bushings here, and even though I say like just run a file across one of these little angled covers over on the back. But the one thing when you fit tuners, now let me get my vernier gauge. The little holes that you need to actually fit them, for the screws, you need like a 1.5 mil drill. Always drill a pilot hole for these little screws. Always drill a pilot hole. You will be thanked by future luthiers who have to take them out. Don't even try and put them in without a pilot hole, really. And I would put a bit of soap on the thread or a bit of grease on the thread, especially when going into maple. Makes a lot of difference, because the last thing you want, and I've done it in my early days, screw, snap, and the head comes off. And it is a real, they're such small screws, it's a real bitch to get them out once they're broken. So drill a pilot hole and put a little bit of soap or grease on the thread and you'll be all right. But yeah, so there we go. Here's the neck all complete now. I've got no problem with it, so that can go away somewhere. The body's indoors drying now, and you know, we're just waiting now. I'll have to look up some. I want to get some really good pickups for it. I don't want to be like getting cheap stuff just because, you know, give some more expensive pickups a try. I mean, I do normally just go for the iron gears sort of thing, or something similar to that. But I'll have a read up. I might like splash a little bit of cash on these pickups and see where we get. Yeah, okie doke. Cheers for that, and speak later. Well, hi there. Just working on this Strat, and what I've basically done is I've flat sanded the body and just quickly. I mean, I know I only sprayed it yesterday, but like I say, I don't use massively thick coats, and I had a fan heater on it, sort of thing. So if you wait, you know, a week or something like that, you just have to more work sanding it because the paint is harder, sort of thing. So I like to give it a quick flatting off just to get rid of, you know, the orange peely spray paint. But here we go. I think that's looking quite I mean, it's quite dull because it's just been flatted off and not really polished much, but I think that's looking really nice guitar. Yeah, kind of missed Strats. I realise now, I've been doing Gibsons for so long, but yeah, great, really like it. It reminds me so much of my my old 70s Strat that I had, and if I'd have sort of what's the word? If I'd have, money would have been no object back then, I would. This is exactly the spec of Strat I'd have gone for, like you know, hard tail, a big headstock. Don't like the bullet thing very much. That didn't bother me too much, but you know, yeah, this is exactly the era of Strat I'd have chosen, and in a hard tail. So yeah, it's looking really good now. You know, the neck, leave the neck dry for a few days, and then you know, yeah, and it's surprising, isn't it, how much quicker it is to build a Stratocaster than a Les Paul. Well, not surprising, unsurprisingly really, when you consider all the work, but it doesn't make them any worse a guitar, that's for certain. You know, you think that Fender could knock these out probably in the hundreds at the top per day, and they're great guitars just because of the beauty and simplicity of the build. So there we go. So thanks for watching. Hi there and good morning. I'm bouncing between finishing off the old Les Pauls and doing this 67 Strat. I sprayed the Strat, I can't remember, a good few weeks ago now, and it's been sitting in the sitting in my wife's airing cupboard, setting up. I mean, I haven't done a brilliant job of polishing it. Now obviously I'm going to be relicking this because that's what I do, but I've said like quite a few times that I don't you know, I don't think there's much truth, I guess, in this business of low plasticizer lacquers that crack easily. Now I could be talking a lot of old bollocks, which I normally do anyway. I get accused of that quite a lot. But the thing is that I've got another Flying V build coming up, and the guy was quite you know, quite resolute on wanting me to use a low plasticized lacquer, and basically I said to him, well, you know, to be quite honest, I don't think, you know, I've tried them before and not found them any different from the lacquers I normally use. Now he kind of said that was a deal breaker for him, you know, and I said okay, you know, no problem. And I had a look around, and since I've researched it before, there's another company on the market in Spain or Portugal, I think, can't remember where they are, called and they do a product called Nitrolac, and it's specifically manufactured for guitars, and according to their website, you know, that's what it does, is crack. And I looked at a few videos online of it being used, and it does seem to do that. So I thought, oh, okay then, and I got in touch with them. Really nice people to deal with, and I bought, basically I needed some cellulose lacquer anyway, and again, no complaints about the price. It doesn't seem that much more expensive than you know, any other lacquer I've bought. And so here it is. I've bought a gallon, or 5 litres, so it's over a gallon of the stuff, as I had to import it from Spain. Obviously it wasn't really worth doing much, you know, getting any less of it. I'll get through a litre in no time. 5 litres will last me a good while, and they were very, very nice. So I can give this a try and see if it cracks. Now this lacquer I put on here, I've tried to crack it. I mean, it hadn't been drying very long. I mean, let's face it, you know, not particularly long. And I put the body in the freezer for a good, you know, overnight. Took it out, repeated that process a few times. I mean, when it comes to craze cracking, the reason why the lacquer cracks is because of change in temperature and expansion and contraction. Now, even with vintage guitars, some crack a lot and some don't. And what I find is, let me turn this heater off, I'm baking here. And what I find is that you know, there's a number of ways you can do craze cracking. Is, you know, you want to accelerate the process. So you know, you can put the guitar or guitar body in a really, really cold place, and then warm it up with a hairdryer and such like, and then put it back in a cold place and warm it up with a hairdryer, then put it back in a cold place and warm it up with a hairdryer. Keep doing that and more often than not it'll crack to some extent. What extent, there's no guarantee, so that's a problem. And in addition to that, it really is not a great idea to freeze and unfreeze and warm your guitar suddenly. You are asking for problems. I have known Fender bodies split apart, you know, on the joints doing that. I mean, this Strat body is a 3-piece Strat body. I've got a joint here, I've got a joint somewhere else down here somewhere, and it would really worry me to keep on cooling and heating it. You're asking for problems. And if you've got a fixed neck guitar and you're putting it in, you know, with frets in the freezer and things like that, and a neck, oh my god, at the very least you'll get away with only having to do a complete fret job on it, you know, re-crowning the frets and you know. The other way you can do craze cracking is with a scalpel, you know, and draw the lines on it things like that, and pattern. That takes a lot of time and a lot of skill, and care, basically, not a great deal of skill. I've actually got quite good at it, and you know, I quite enjoy doing it, you know, because and that way you can get the look you want, you know, the density of lines that you want, not one or two cracks if you want loads, this, that and the other. But the problem is, generally they don't look quite as realistic as real craze cracks. I'll show you the 53 Les Paul, which I've now finished, and I've used a lot of techniques which I'm not gonna divulge, because that's what I do, you know, and that, yeah, that's done my way. But what purpose of this video is to give this good old lacquer a try here and see if we can make the job a lot easier by just basically, you know, this could be a time machine lacquer. I could put it on and in 2 weeks time bung this in the freezer and it comes up looking fantastic. So this is what we're going to do today, is I'm going to spray this body with another couple of coats of this lacquer, and we'll see how it goes. So what I'm going to do now is sand this all down again, take the hardware off it, and rock and roll. So let's go. Cheers. Right, here we are then, just getting ready to spray. First impressions, obviously, is just mixing this up. It comes to you quite thin compared to what I usually get, which is quite viscous sort of thing. But you know, that's not a criticism. You have to add. I've added a little bit of thinners to it, but I would say sort of probably no more than like, well, I'd start off at 10% sort of thing and go from there. I mean, you know, from my previous spraying videos and things like that, I do like to spray very light coats. So, you know, I don't like the stuff on there thick. So, I mean, this is basically how I've mixed it up. You know, you can see it drips off the, you know, it drips off the stick there. I mean, I might be a bit thin there, but like I say, I prefer it that way than thick. I've sanded down the guitar body, and I've actually sanded through it in some places through the colour, but I'm not bothered about that because it's going to be a relic anyway, so no problem. So I'll disappear off now to my spraying shed and come back with the use, how it performed. Well, so how did the new cellulose lacquer from Nitrolac spray? It sprayed very, very well, actually. I liked it as a product to spray. It looks different, actually. It does look different. You know, it's kind of slightly more shiny, I think. And it does say on the tin, age of gloss, golden age of gloss sort of thing. And yeah, I don't know whether it sprayed differently or not. It sprayed very, very nicely. And to me, looking at it, it's gone on with very little orange peel, which is a kind of feature of paint sort of thing, and you have to polish afterwards. But it didn't have a propensity to run at all. I've got no runs on it or anything like that. It just looks slightly more gloss to me than what I'm used to spraying, which is a good thing. So yeah, I'd give it 10 out of 10 so far. Give the company 10 out of 10 in their customer service. I like the product. I mean, I've only mixed it and used it. Obviously the what's the word, the ultimate test is going to be how it cracks, sort of thing. But yeah, if it only works out as another gallon of cellulose thinners I've got, like cellulose lacquer I've got lying around, I'm happy with that. There's no instructions that come with it, which no complaints at all. That there's lots of information on their website about the product, so you know you can glean everything you need to know there. But like I say, I probably added about 10% thinners to it. It comes a lot thinner than I'm used to getting, and that's the only thing. But well, that don't look bad, does it? Sort of thing, lovely and shiny. So take you in a bit for a closer look. Ooh. So there we go. I don't think that's bad, is it? Yep. So that's all good. Yep. I'll put another coat on it. It's getting chilly now. I'll put another coat on it, and then I'm just going to leave it as that. Bung it back in the airing cupboard for a couple of weeks, and yeah, like it a lot. Well done, Nitrolac so far, and we'll see what happens later. What I'm looking forward to, actually, if it settles out really well, I'll have a lot less flatting off to do and sanding, which will be nice. But speak to you soon, guys. Well, I've just put the second and final coat of that Nitrolac lacquer on the Strat body. Absolutely fine, just went on like the first coat, no problem. And like I say, basically I'll be back in 2 weeks to comment on it and see what see how it cracks and shit. So yeah, so far 10 out of 10. So at least it's a lacquer I can use you know, on other guitars. Okay, hi there, but welcome back to 3R Guitars. Just bouncing around sort of smaller projects I've got on. This is continuing the Stratocaster kind of finishing. You can remember that I finished it once, and then I got the Nitrolac lacquer, which is the low plasticizer stuff, and I sprayed a couple of coats of that over the existing finish. Just to get a good impression of how it works, and of course in the long run to check its checking qualities, which are meant to be outstanding. When I did actually, then after spraying it before, I mean, if you don't know, if you remember, I put 2 coats on. Well, you know, being a typical man, I hadn't read the instructions, sort of thing, and when I looked online it said, oh, put at least 3 coats on. Well, I mean, I guess that's assuming you haven't got anything on there beforehand, but I thought, well, do what it says. So I did splash another coat over it the next day, and can remember me saying how actually pleased I was with the way it sprayed, and you can see the shine on it there. I mean, it's definitely much more of a wet look shine than I get with my normal lacquer I use. So I was very pleased with that. I was very pleased with the way it sprayed. You seem to be able to spray it quite thin. I mean, it did say in the instructions, you know, like I say, typical man, you know, never read fucking instructions, but it did say, you know, don't overdo the thinners you put in it, you know, otherwise that'll upset its quality. But it said up to 10% thinners. Well, you know, from recollection, I think I was probably below 10% thinners, because I just basically put a splash in it, you know, to make it slightly thinner. So I'm sure that was fine, and if I'd have put more thinners in it, then it probably would have had a good propensity to run, sort of thing. So anyway, it's been setting now for about a week. A week, is it? Well, getting on for a week, but you know, I can't dig my fingernail in it or anything. So what I want to do now is wet sand it and flatten it and then put it away. I want to get the hardware back in it that I had before. It's lying around the shed at the moment, and I want to get that all put back in. So what I'll do here now is just start sanding it and polishing it, and I'll bring you back when that's done. I mean, it won't take long because, like I say, it obviously flows very well because it's a very wet look, and there's very little orange peel sort of look on the surface. It's almost just like a, you know, looking at it, I don't know if you can get an impression on there, but there's just a slight texture. So, and it obviously flows really, really well because you can actually, you know, yeah, it is. I do like the lacquer. I do like the way it goes on. So let's get this stick of wood unscrewed from it and then start polishing. I'll get back to you. Right, here we go, back with this Strat. You can see now that I've dulled it all off, and you've got to like sand it back to where it's a consistent matte finish. If you look, you know, catch the light and look across it, and you can see, I can see a little bit there actually where there's you know, you can see a little bit of shine, and it's kind of lots of matte dimples on it, which that hasn't been like rubbed down enough. But I mean, it's under the pick guard there anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, and what I've used is, these are very, very good. They're just like a sanding sponge sort of thing. Get some of these in probably 2000 grit or whatever, and they are really good because, you know, if you use wet and dry on it, the problem is, you know, it just makes it very messy. So yeah, we basically ready now to polish it. It didn't take too long. It probably took me about 3/4 of an hour to sand all that back. And like I say, I like doing it you know, before the lacquer's been drying for weeks and weeks, otherwise it gets very hard, gutty work. So what I'll do now is the old, still got a bit of a bad back, but the old polishing compound on it, and we'll see what it comes up like. Yeah, it's all good and ready now, so we'll give this a blob and I'll get back to you, and you can see what it turns out like. Like I say, I like doing all this by hand. I've just got not enough experience with polishing mops and stuff. I've actually tried one of those, like what looks like a big angle grinder with a big felt mop on it, or sponge mop on it, and like, you know, as soon as I get to the corners or something like that, or catch an edge, then, you know, all the paint's gone sort of thing. So I just have to stein myself to polishing by hand. And like I say as well, is I'm in any of my projects, I'm really not interested in an as new finish, because I just haven't got the equipment to have a completely perfect environment for spraying. You know, you need extraction fans, you need a sealed room probably, and all that, and I just haven't got that. So all my finishes are relics of some, or, you know, with a bit of age on them, just because of that. But anyway, you can actually see it's actually coming up. It's actually, even with the polish on it, it's coming up very nice. So far I'm really liking this lacquer. I obviously, the coup de grace for it will be as if it cracks in the freezer, and I'll be talking about that a little bit, my aging techniques, when I reveal the Les Pauls, because I'm not 100% in favour of freezing guitars, for reasons which I'll go into. But anyway, I'll cut you off at the pass there, and I'll take a left to Albuquerque and get on polishing this. Cheers! Oh, hi there, just to wrap up now, I've given this a quick polish, and you know you can see sort of how nice it is, sort of thing. So still that lacquer is scoring a 10 out of 10 with me. I like it, does what it says on the tin so far, but like I say, the acid test is going to be when you know, we try and crack it, sort of thing, which at least won't be for another week and a half. I might leave it 3 weeks, but you know, it's actually looking, this guitar is actually now beginning to look quite sexy, I think. There we go. So got a nice looking 67 clone of a Strat there. Yeah, I think it will look nice. I just like yeah, I just basically like sort of plain, you know, plain Strats sort of thing. So, you know, well pleased with that. The overall look of it looks really good. I'll be using like a cream pick guard on it, something like this, you know, so I think it's going to be really nice. Just a plain sunburst alder 67 Strat, large headstock, suits me down to the ground sort of thing. So lovely guitar. So I'll put this back where it can set, and then yeah, we'll move on from there. Give it, I'm looking forward to certainly looking forward to trying the cracking on it. I'd love to, I don't really want to do a heavy amount of damage to the body on this. I you know, might just thin the black out there, but what I'd really love is loads and loads of straight cracking lines across it, just blitzed with it sort of thing. So I really hope this lacquer lives up to its claims sort of thing. So I'd love that, I absolutely love that. And you know, if that works out really well, what I might do is make another 67. I've got like this part made neck that I've had lying around for years sort of thing. So I'd actually, although it's got narrower dots, so that would be an earlier, would that be an earlier one or a later one? I can't remember when they went to narrow dots. That was earlier. Can't remember, but I'm not really bothered. You know, this is still really straight. It's got a bit of damage there, but it's got like a curved, I think it's probably a 7.5 radius looking at it, this one, but you know, shame to have it lying around. I'm just trying to use up what stock I've got sort of thing. Probably someone asked me to make a neck for them and then did the usual thing and pull out, oh sorry mate, you know, can't afford it, or whatever, get lots of that. But yeah, so pleased with that. So I'll go and put it away now, and we'll go from there. So good stuff. Cheers. Well, hi there ladies and gentlemen, back to 3R Guitars. Now, we were doing this like Strat with this new lacquer. Now the advice was leave it set for at least sort of 15 days and then freeze it a few times and unfreeze it. So this is the result after 15 days, and it's middling. And then you can see all the lines. I mean, there's junk, there's muck on it, I'm sorry, just dust and stuff, but you can see the lines like plainly there, the cracking lines. There's a lot of them, but I think you can see it plainly there, and they are standing out on the phone really well. And here's the back. Again, much the same. Sorry about the dust on it, it's just dust. but you can see the cracks, so it is cracking up really well. A lot of cracks. Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be any like cracks going round the side of it, and you've really got to look hard. But the thing is, I'm holding this to the light, like really, I should have polished this before. I'm holding this to the light exactly like the right way. These cracks are so fine, there's absolutely no witness of them with your fingernail at all. And if I do this, absolutely nothing. You can't see them at all. You've got to catch them in the light. So they're very, very, very fine. And like I say, you know, I can't see them at all there. Do this with them, stand them up, and yes, you can see them. But, you know, like that, there's absolutely nothing. And, you know, it doesn't matter how close you go or high, you know, you've got to, I can't see them at all like that, you know. So let me put you back on the stand. So basically this is the, you know, this is the problem with you know, freeze cracking sort of thing. I mean, I put it in the freezer once after sort of 15 days, and it basically went like this, like you've seen, and it hasn't, and I've put it in probably another 3 times, and it hasn't like increased anymore or anything. So what I want to do is I want to leave it set like you know, for at least another couple of weeks, and then see if the freezing method you know, makes it more pronounced sort of thing. Because like, you know, really that's, you know, you can just see it faintly, you know, and you can't feel it at all. So even if you rub dirt in it or something like that, it wouldn't stand out. So yeah, so anyway, that's the 15-day report, and we'll see what happens in another couple of weeks. Shame, I want to finish off the guitar, but there we go. Probably the 4th week now, and yeah, I still like it, but it's like it's not your sort of what shall we say, your total answer to doing a vintage guitar. I think the craze cracking, you know, as with any freezing process, you've got absolutely no control over where it happens or what it does, which is, you know, okay, it's meant to be haphazard and everything, which is okay, but you know, I kept on freezing it and trying it and this, that and the other, and it, after its initial freezing session, after a couple of weeks, you know, it never really got any more pronounced or anything like that. So what I did, I actually like soaked the surface of the guitar. What I wanted to do was see if I could get, you know, if I could get some moisture into the cracks and then freeze it. You know, the ice expands and whatnot. So I did that and had a modicum of success with it, sort of thing. And the craze cracking, you know, I don't know how you can, you know, if you can see it, I'm sure you'll be able to see some on it there. You know, I'm just trying to work out the best way that you can sort of see it, and whether you can. But I mean, there's plenty of craze cracking on there, but it is still very, very faint. Let me get the phone off the stand, because I remember last time I kind of stood it up. Let me switch around the view. How can I do? I'll switch you. Yeah, you can definitely see the craze cracking there, especially on the black, and you can see some up here now, and some along here, which is quite good, and up there sort of thing. Let's have a look at the back, and again you can definitely see craze cracking around the edge. Not, you can't see it in the middle, unfortunately. Some large cracks on the edge, which I really like, that sort of thing. That looks nice. Smaller ones, but it's just a shame there's not any running across. I mean, these cracks that sort of go across the yellow, you just can't see, and let me put you back on. Well, hi and welcome back to 3R Guitars. Doing a bit of work on this Strat today. I mean, basically we've been relicking the body, and I think I've done enough now, and I'm actually like really pleased with the overall look of it. I think it does look genuinely old. I will carry on until I finish the guitar commenting about this Nitrolac lacquer. Like I was saying yesterday, it's not quite as I sort of expected, but I'd say a lot of these things are like accidental, but I really do like it. I'm just a bit surprised with some things, in that in some respects it seems soft, but in other respects, and I don't see how it can it seems almost contradictory that it can be soft but still crack. I'm sure that if I'd like dug my fingernail in, it just got that feel to it. But yeah, I'd give it. I mean, it's not like your miracle to relicking, but overall, I'm pretty pleased with it. Although I would really worry about if it wasn't my guitar, and I hadn't built it and it was a genuine Fender or something, I'd feel a bit worried about the stress I've had to put into it to make it crack. But anyway, what I've done is I've bought some pickups for it. Now, I think my view on pickups. Generally, I don't spend a great deal on them. I tend to choose like what reads a good pickup. You get a lot of these places where you get like new companies coming up that do say hand wound pickups, and all that, and providing they're not too much money, I'll give them a go. And certainly some of the pickups I've bought in the past from new companies who do pickups, I've ended up buying like a set of pickups. I think I bought a set of bare knuckles when they just started, and they were one of those companies that were charging not very much for good pickups, and now they're established, they're a fortune. So you can get good pickups for good prices. But in this case, with this guitar, I know exactly what I like with Strats. Years and years ago, I made myself a Fiesta Red hardtail Strat, and I put Texas Specials in it, and I absolutely loved them. And I bought a genuine set of custom shop Fender Texas specials for them. Unfortunately, they only came with white covers, but you know, as you can see, I have a few covers in stock, and generally, you know, this is the white cover. You know, it just wouldn't look any good on a you know, a relic guitar, I don't think. You know, you'd have to dirty it up, and you dirty it up quite a lot and it would still look white. Then you get like parchment, which is this sort of colour, which, you know, is a bit more off white, and that looks okay. I think that actually looks quite nice on there. But personally, what I like is I actually like the cream covers. You know, compared, there's the three of them together. You know, you've got white, parchment and cream, and I actually like the you know, I like the look of the cream covers myself. You know, they look a bit dark. I mean, this pick guard is oh, it's the green, what do they call it? I don't know. Anyway, it's the greeny one sort of thing. And I've had it years again, so I've forgotten what they call it now. I mean, again, you get different colours of pick guard, you know, and I just think that looks quite nice with the cream and the greeny sort of snot green sort of pick guard kind of thing. And I'm not even sure whether it's correct for this era of Strat, because this era of Strat I'm sure wouldn't have had a nitrate pick guard on it. It would have actually been just some kind of other plastic, and it would have been much more white. But that's the look I like. I mean, I have got this is actually a sheet of the pick guard material that I make them from, and this is, I'm sure this is a celluloid. I can't tell now, but you can see, you know, I've cut it from that sort of thing. So yeah, so it's one for an older style Strat. So I don't know why on earth I'm using it on this, but I just like that colour. So tough look. So next business is relicking these pickup covers, which is, you know, you don't want to go mad on them, but I like to put a few cracks between the you might be able to just see on there. This is one I've relicked ages ago, but it got a few little cracks between the pole pieces and stuff like that, and then given it like a bit of a wash over with some wood stain and polished it off. So yeah, so I'll get on and relic these now and try and get the pickups in. Let's put the cover back on these. But one thing I would say as well is that and I have known it, which is, you know, which is always a bit worrying, like if I'm buying, like, you know, expensive pickups for something, I tend to, unless they are marked with a mark that you can't get off, like, you know, when you get bare knuckles, they've actually got bare knuckles stamped in the bottom of the pickup plate or something like that, the bottom sandwich of the pickup or something like that, so you can be certain that they're bare knuckles. I mean, even with these, that's all you've got is a little custom shop stamp that's, you know, that's not, it's not even very well stuck on there sort of thing. And I do get nervous about buying expensive pickups that, I mean, this is actually worrying me now a little bit. Why are these magnets down here pushed down? You know, I don't like that actually. I'm not sure. You know, it's worrying buying. I mean, I bought these from a good music shop on Amazon. So, I mean, they came in all the right box, but who's to say someone just hasn't, like, you know, bought a set of Texas Specials, ripped the things off, and like, yeah, I don't know. I don't like the fact that those poles are down on the bottom. I'll have to look into that and see. And the red dot is the bridge pickup, and like, you know, it's kind of flat pole, but these two are high. I'm going to have a read up on that and get back to you. And like I say, I'm worrying myself now. So let's have a read. Okay. Well, hi there and welcome back to 3R Guitars. A few days ago we started working on the Strat and fitting it up, putting pickups in it and things, and it was an unmitigated disaster. I'd bought a set of Texas Special pickups, you know, Fender Custom Shop Texas Special pickups, and just to reiterate, I mean, when I got them, I mean, I bought them off Amazon, and you know, they came the next day, and I thought, oh good, let's get, I mean, they're not cheap pickups either. You know, I paid like knocking on the door of £200 for them, and when I got them, instantly alarm bells rang, sort of thing. The main thing was that one of the pickups, the pole pieces, were a different height to the others, and they were obviously wrong because they were flat from the you know, from the bass string up to the B, and then the B was high, and then the thin E was even higher. I mean, I've never seen pole pieces like that. And when I actually looked on the back of that pickup, the little silver custom shop sticker had just been like squashed over the tall magnets that had been pushed through, sort of thing. And I thought, oh god, this doesn't look really good. And when I tested the pickups, they weren't really that close to the ohmage that Fender advertised for the custom shop, for the Texas Special pickups. I mean, they weren't miles off, but they were too much really to be a factory controlled wind sort of thing. And in addition, one of the pickups, I couldn't get any ohm reading for it at all. Well, so they went back via Amazon's excellent return service, and I did put in the comments that I think these are they're not Fender pickups at all. I mean, Fender would never send them out like that. I mean, just the fact that the sticker was graunched on over the magnets to try and hide it, sort of thing, and how awful is that? So please beware when you buy stuff. I mean, you're always going to buy the cheapest. I mean, those pickups range in price from, you know, you can get them from £179 or something up to like 240 or something like that, you know. So who, you know, off a renown or a good music shop, who isn't going to spend the least money to get the same product? But just beware, you know, that there are some none too scrupulous places out there, so beware of that. I mean, they, you know, in all fairness, they may not have known. They just might, you know, get the pickups in, buy them from somewhere, but, you know, no good. So what I did, I went back to my usual thing. I mean, bear in mind that I don't play the guitar much at all, so I mean, I could make this Strat and, you know, sell it on to someone else who just doesn't like Texas Specials. So you know, they basically are going to tell me, well, I don't like those pickups much, so you know, will you take X amount off it or whatever, or something like that. So I've essentially wasted my money. So what I've done is my usual thing, where I like to give, you know, I mean, there's pickup makers popping up all over the place, and I basically bought this set off, you know, a small guy on eBay, and they're advertised as Texas Specials. The ohm reading is really good. They've come packed superbly, very, very nicely, and you know, you can see, you know, the quality of the pickup. I mean, they've got fibre bobbins, they're not plastic, you know, fibre bobbins. They're Alnico 5 magnets. Look how nicely they're made. They really are a nice quality product, really lovely. And let me get my glasses on to have a look. You know, they are, you know, they are really, really, you know, really nice. They've got wax coated pushback wiring, you know, which is really nice. 42 gauge enamel wire around Alnico 5 magnets. So yeah, they're, you know, they look, the quality of them looks superb, and they're an absolute fraction of the price of the Texas Specials. So you know, if I come to move this guitar on, then I can say to the person, well, you know, just give these pickups a try. And you know, more often than not, people are like, oh yeah, they're good, I like those. You know, I mean, I use iron gear pickups a lot because they're not expensive. And you know what, I've not had anybody say they don't like those pickups. They might have ones that they favour more, but no one doesn't like it. Now the thing is, with these pickups, one thing I would say is a piece of equipment that you really should have, even if you're just an amateur guitar fiddler sort of thing. You really need one of these meters, electric testing meters. I mean, they save you tons of time. I mean, we can test these pickups now. So the only setting you'll use realistically on one of these meters, and like I say, you can probably pick one up for like even a tenner. So you've got your ohm setting here, around here, which is basically what it tells you is two things I use it for. So first of all, these pickups should be round about 6,000 to 7,000 ohms. So if we turn this to like 20,000 ohms, 20k ohms, we should be able to measure these pickups now, and we'll see what they are. So let's have a look at this one. Oh, slippery guitar. Let's have a look at this one then. So what have we got here? Right, we've got 6,500 ohms, or 6.5k ohms on that pickup. So let's measure the other one with the black and white wires. I mean, these pickups, you know, you can tell they're quality made things. Okay, that's 5.77k ohms, so that's going to be the front pickup, that's going to be the bridge pickup, and then we'll measure the middle one. So what's this one now? .4 K ohms, 6,400. So what was this one? 6.5. So there we go. I'm guessing that is the order of them. You always get the lowest ohmage on the neck pickup because you've got more amplitude on the string vibration there. The middle pickup probably going to be somewhere between, but this is a reverse wound pickup. I will check. I mean, the pickups haven't come with any paperwork with them, I don't think. So you know, it doesn't. That's probably what it might say somewhere on the box. Yeah, so we'll see what you know, what it says, but I'm sure that's the way it should go. But also with these things, these meters, is what you've got. Basically, when you put it on ohms, you're measuring resistance. So, you know, when you haven't got anything connected, you'll get 1 there. If you go to, if you connect the two together, you'll get 0 because there's no resistance. It's directly connected. And you know, if you want to check wiring in a guitar, say something like a Les Paul, you know, when you put the switch in and all that, and you want to check what's what, you know, you don't have to go ripping everything out to see what wire goes where. You can just go to one end and the other end and check, you know, all sorts of things. So it really does, you know, for the sake of a few quid, this will save you so much time. And the number of times I've gone into a guitar with some weird electrical problem, and you start looking at it, and the temptation is to, like, you know, rip it all out, and oh, there's something seriously wrong with this, and you know, and you look at it, and then you kind of think, oh, hang on a minute, that's that, and that's that. You sort out what wires, and you start getting it in your head, and before you blink, like, you've sorted it out because of having this meter thing. So that's all good, but get one of those, honestly, if you're going to do anything. Save you a lot of bother. So anyway, I'll get on and start putting these pickups in. I mean, they've actually come with like an off-white, so I'm not quite sure what covers I'll use. I'll have a look. I'm still tempted to go with the cream, but I'll just pop these in and see what I think. Take the rips it off. See which looks best. I'll get back to you anyway. Well, here you go. Here's all the pickups in. They absolutely fitted perfectly, no problem at all. You know, like, just like to reiterate, a real quality item, really. Yeah, there we go. From the back, another way you can tell which pickup is which, really. And as you know, look how nicely they've been made with the length of wire for each one. I've not adjusted any of those, not snipped off any of that wire, so they're all set to the same length, sort of thing, going back here. So you know, it really is they really are nicely made, actually. Attention to detail there, which is good. So I've relicked up the plastic covers a little bit. I didn't want to go too nuts. I just polished off the corners, the sharp edges, sort of thing, and then just put a few marks and dinks on them, sort of thing, but nothing drastic. I mean, it's not like a 70-year-old guitar, sort of thing, so wanted to keep that in mind. So everything fits on there nice, and like I've said before, this pick guard is the wrong one for this era of guitar, but it's the nicest one I've got, because I did buy some celluloid nitrate sheet and make up some Strat pick guards, and this is like one of the ones I kind of had like I just did sort of thing, so I'm sure it is. So I'm just going to use that, and I think this, you know, for a late 60s Strat, this would have been a brighter white, but you know, I'm not really going for anything seriously you know, vintage kind of thing, as long as it looks the part, which I think this really does. You know, it's looking like really nice now. And you know, after my you might have seen the Les Paul 53 thing when I was putting the pots in yesterday and absolutely cursing the quality of parts nowadays. I'll be searching around my spare bin for like any pots I can put in or anything like that, as long as they're the right 250k. I don't really care. You know, I think they'll be fine. So I'll have a look around for that, and yeah, see if we can get it wired up, and all good. Thank you very much. So we're moving on to the wiring, and I've got like quite a few of these switches lying around, so no point in buying one of those. And this is like a 5-position switch, so you know, you can have the usual Strat back pickup, middle pickup, front pickup, or you know, front to middle and the front, or the middle and the back. The one thing with this is that I'll be doing, and I find the Strat kind of knobs arrangement, like or controls arrangement, quite odd, because you know, you've got volume and master volume, that's fine, and then you've got like tone controls for the front and middle pickup, but nothing for the back. And kind of in my view that, you know, with the back pickup, you kind of, you know, you could really do with a tone on that, just so you can like roll off the brightness slightly if you want to. Sometimes, you know, when you're playing a band and stuff like that, the lead pickup, this back pickup, bridge pickup, can be, you know, depending upon what type of pickup it is, but it can be quite, you know, quite a trebly, very trebly sound, which is sometimes a little bit too much. I mean, of course you can switch to the middle pickup or the front, or a combination, but sometimes, you know, you just could almost do with rolling off a little bit of the treble on it and making it a bit darker. Now the Telecaster doesn't have that problem, because you know, it's got a master volume and master tone, so you can roll off the treble a little bit. So I prefer to actually wire my Strats with a master volume as normal, and then a master tone. And I don't really like use this pot at all, but what I do is, you know, leave it there because it would look silly, but I get one of those like switched pots, and push pull pot, so you can actually just put on the bridge pickup at any time. It like bypasses this switch and just puts it on. So like, for instance, if you've got like with the Strat, you can't have the neck, and it's standard, you can't have the neck and the bridge pickup on at the same time, which I think is a bit of a shame, really. I mean, it's an option that should be there, that's available on most 3 pickup guitars, and you certainly can't have all 3 pickups on at the same time. But if you put a push pull in this position, so you can like just, and that's all that push pull does, is basically switch that pickup on. So if you were actually like that position, you know, just that pickup on, and you pull this up to switch this pickup on again, you know, it wouldn't make any difference, it's just on. But if you were up in the front just with that pickup on through the normal wiring, and then pull this pot up and bypass and switch this on, then you can have that and that on. And if you want to go nuts, if you put it there so these two are on, pull that up, you can have all three pickups on. And I've done that before, and like it's not like a foolproof thing, because like, you know, obviously if you like back there and you pull that up, there's no change sort of thing, but it's just a way of switching this pickup on whenever you want to. And the guitar looks the same, and I just find that far more sensible. I don't really like the, you know, a master tone is fine really. So that's what we'll be doing. I had got these old pots that I had, but I'm not sure of the condition of them and whatnot. So and they dated ones, and if ever I restore a guitar for somebody or something like that, it's nice to have, like, you know, a pot that's you know, the right, you know, in the range of the right year. I mean, it wasn't like I mean the year of manufacture. On the back of the pot there's a code that tells you the year and the week it was manufactured and who made it. I mean, 13, it'll be something, I haven't got my glasses on, but it'll be something like 137, which is CTS pot, and then it'll have the year, say 76 for 1976, and 20, so it'll be, say, the 20th week of 1976. But you can't exactly date a guitar like that, because Fender bought their pots in bulk, so you quite often, I mean, I can't remember now, but I think loads of them are dated 1966, because Fender must have bought a billion of them or something. So, you know, quite frequently guitars built post 66 often have 66 pots on them. I think that's right, but there we go. So I'm going to keep these aside for another project, or not a project, but just to you know, so they'll go on a genuine guitar. So what I've done now is I've just bought plain pots, and after that debacle with the CTS pots on the Les Pauls, I'm certainly not going to go use those in a rush again. I was really a bit put out by that. But you can see this is just a generic cheap pot. I mean, I think I got all three for a tenner or something, and they're really, you know, lovely solid feel. And you can see that this top bit, the bit that was brass on the CTS pot and coming loose all the time, and I had to solder together, this has got the cast top to the pot, so it's solid, you know, it's not going anywhere. So that's really good. So I'm happy with that. And it says on here A250K, which is audio 250K. Audio just is the taper of the sound sort of thing. An audio pot tends to well, it's easy to explain. A linear pot, you know, you turn it and it makes a linear difference to either the volume or the tone, whereas an audio pot tends to be more effect at the beginning and then fade away sort of thing. The effect tends to fade away. But anyway, these are all audio pots. It's just fine, really. It doesn't make a lot of difference. One thing that you know, well, no, I won't go into it. But yeah, so we'll get these pots put in. Very simple, you know, you just like, you know, put them in like that. And they've got like a tab on them that like stops them turning and digs into wood if you put them in wood. But you've got to break that tab off when you put them on plastic sort of thing, which is fine. But when you put the pots in on the back of a Strat, have the, you know, don't put the pot that way round on there. Have the two tone pots facing one another or this way, you know, doesn't, but you know, like that is fine. But yeah, so we can start putting that on. The next thing is I've done some knobs, and I bought a plastic set for the guitar, and because I wanted cream knobs. I had white ones but didn't want to use those, and you can see that I've aged these to look nice. And the best way to age these is I get a drill, force it in the end there, in the center boss sort of thing, get a drill of the right size, push it in, and then spin it in my my drill press. I mean, you can spin it in anything, and just run a file around the corners sort of thing, and you know, around the top, just to wear it off. You can see how nicely rounded off those are, and then I polish them, put a bit of metal polish on, and then spin it in the drill again, and polish it so it's nice and shiny, and just use wood dye to, you know, fill in the little serrations sort of thing with a bit of dirt, and just polish it up. And I think they actually look quite nice, you know, they're nice and shiny sort of thing. So there we go, that's that. So we can get on, put that there, and I'll show you just one. So the first thing to do is that tab on there. If you just put pliers on it, that breaks off really easily. Just snap that off, and then they're ready to go in. Yeah, nice and simple sort of thing. I might put another washer underneath, because again, I don't like the pots being too high, and I like the knobs to be basically on the pick guard sort of thing, and not high. But I mean, it's a, you know, really simple job really. Just screw them in. There we go, nice and simple. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to test the knob on to see if they'll push down. Yeah, that's perfect, isn't it? So, you know, they're not high or anything like that. So that's good, that's great. And these knobs, I don't know, they don't have serrations in them. I think they just, the plastic's spongy enough to kind of push over the serrations, but that fits on there really nice. So we can get that screwed on, and I'm still waiting for the push-pull switch, which I haven't got yet. That's an Amazon delivery, so it should be here today. So I can get wiring it then and show you what I'm doing. So jolly good, thank you.